Thank you for joining us for our Saturday morning session of CBF Arkansas's annual gathering. This morning, you will watch a conversation with Janae Tisby and her Together for Hope Arkansas Board of Directors, a video hello from Shane and Diane McNary, CBF missionaries in Slovakia and the Czech Republic, and a video conversation with Greg and Sue Smith, CBF missionaries in Virginia. After we watch these interviews, we will gather at 11 a.m. on Zoom and have our annual business session. We'll have interesting and important introductions as well as updates that we hope you'll join us for.
First of all, I'm really excited to see all of you guys' faces. I see Nemo more because he's in town. It's me occasionally on FaceTime. But Ms. Kate, it's wonderful to see you after what's been almost a year and a half. So I'm thrilled to see you guys. Particularly, I know Ms. Kate, you've been a long-time volunteer for Together for Hope and really committed to Helena and especially to the work we do at camp. To me, you started off as a camper and then an intern, and then a volunteer, and then an intern. Now you've got a Together Hope Scholarship where you're working on at the University of Arkansas in Jonesboro. And then Nemo, I think you started off as a volunteer first and then an intern for the last couple of summers. So I think all of us have been in or around Together for Hope Arkansas in a lot of different ways for the last few years. And so I think that will help us really just to get a lot of feedback and information on what keeps you guys connected, what you like most about it, what you want to see next, all those type of things. So I said to me, I would pick on you earlier, so I'm going to start with you, especially now. So normally, like, our summers is one of our biggest times. One of the times we would see you the most is summer, especially since you're in college now. But even before you went to college, you were always really committed to being an intern and helping out with Together for Hope. And I want to know why. Like, what is it that made you commit to it? What is it that makes you like it? What is it that connects you to the work?
I would say for me, the impact that Together for Hope has on Helena. I've always grown up in Helena, so I know how it is, like not having much to do. So getting connected with Together for Hope, it was just like a family. Like everyone knew everyone. Everyone was so excited to like come down to camp and everything. So I just say like the community aspect of it, it always keeps me coming back. Yeah.
I can go.
Yeah, tell me, Nemo.
See, for me, I like Together for Hope because, you know, and me doing the swimming part, I can teach like the next generation how to swim because a lot of my friends that they don't know how to swim.
Yeah, that's right. And you learned to swim in camp, didn't you, Nemo?
Yes, ma'am. If it weren't for the camp, I would still not be swimming like I'm swimming.
I know. Well, you know that it's interesting, and I don't know if Nemo you've ever heard this story, but the very first year that our church from Raleigh came was the first year that there was the Rural Poverty Initiative in Helena. It was the summer of that first year that missionaries were sent there, and we started out in the old armory. It was 12 women. And we had 2 men, Mr. Bob, who comes back and helps with, you know, visiting some of the older people and making lunches, etc. And then Mr. George. And they drove these 12 women, and we drove that year all the way from North Carolina. And what the Newells, the original missionaries assigned to the effort in Phillips County, what they wanted to do was the armory was closed. It had burned out, and it was a shell with broken glass, broken windows, and everything. So Mrs. Newell in particular said, there are just kids wandering around here. And why don't we just do a vacation Bible school? And so our first job was to sweep out that armory, dead wasps and bugs and glass and everything. And so we did that in the mornings for 4 mornings. And then we said, well, what are we going to do in the afternoon? We discovered the pool just a few blocks away. And nobody was in it. Every day that we drove by there, there was nobody in the pool. And so we found out that it had only opened 2 years, reopened 2 years prior, because the Johnson family there in Helena had wanted to see that pool opened with the armory burned. And so they got it opened, but they charged $1 a person to get in. And nobody had the dollars. Plus, nobody knew how to swim. So we went down there, first of all, with fistfuls of dollars to let kids in. And I went up to Mr. Ernest and said, so would you rope off a little section of the pool and let us teach swimming lessons in the afternoon? We'll just get in the pool and we'll teach, you know, whatever children are in the pool, and we're going to give them dollars and let them get in. And at that time, Ernest and I were not big friends. So he said, nope, you can't do that because this is a public pool. I can't rope off any section of the pool, but if you want to get in the pool, you go ahead. So we did, got in the pool, and whatever child swam up to us, we taught them how to swim, or we worked with them and played with them and had a great time. And that's how it started. That's how the swimming part of it started. And it was just a lot of fun. And Nemo, there's no question my heart is for people that don't know how to swim, because it's a life skill that can save your life, you know. And there are a lot of people in Raleigh that don't know how to swim. I'm thinking about being involved this summer with a literacy program that is for refugees in Raleigh, and they are charged with reading X number of books. And if they read X number of books, they're able to go to this camp that has a swimming pool and swim. And I thought, well, maybe we could teach some swimming lessons because they're from other countries and they don't have a clue how to swim. And you have a whole lot more fun in the water if you're comfortable, you know, if you feel like you're safe.
And for parents too, if they can't swim, knowing their kids have had some kind of lessons and whatnot is a big thing. I always love when you tell that story, because I compare it to my first summer that was there. We always apply, you know, for the grant with the Helena Health Foundation to open the pool. And so part of that is we've got to give them all the numbers from previous summers. And so hearing from a time when there was nobody in the pool to knowing that we have, you know, close to 1,000 people each summer, not counting the repeaters who come all the time because the pool is now open for free, is really incredible. So I love that. I'm going to switch it a little bit. So you guys all told stories about the summer, which is great, which is one of my favorite times for Together for Hope too. But all 3 of you guys have also been a part of it during the school year. And so to me, I mean, I can't think of the number of things you've helped with over the years. Nemo, you've been up to Memphis to volunteer during the year. You do almost anything if I call you up and ask you for help. Miss Kate, even this, what was it, 2 months ago, you were working with your church to get people to donate gift cards for local folks in Helena and the Helena community that were in need. And so all of that to me speaks to, like, you know, you guys obviously have this ministry like ACC summer camp that you're really connected to, but you're still want to give your time and your resources year round. And so thinking about that, like, what is it you hope to see next for Together for Hope, or like, what do you want to be a part of next? I know it's a big question. It's a strategic plan question, but I am curious.
I know. Gee, I hope that your youth development, I love that part of it. And I think that that is the key to having people that are there year round that will carry on.
Like Mia and Nemo?
Yeah. So you too. Yeah. Like your age. And we realized that years ago. And that's why you see so many volunteers coming from outside in. What I've recognized is it is relationship building that makes the difference. And so when you all start seeing needs around Helena and ways that you can plug in and you encourage other people locally to get involved, it works us out of a job, which, you know, we don't really want to be worked out of a job, but you see what I'm saying? It's that embracing and, you know, and always, 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 and particularly through the racial equity situations that have been so full blown recently in our country. And I think the fact they're in the headlines gives us more hope that it's going to be dealt with. But what I saw immediately the first year that I went there was a tremendous racial divide. And I'll never forget the little girl telling me in the pool that there were white people in the pool and that I was white. And I said, yes, I am. And, you know, and then she turned to me and she said, my mother says that white people and black people can't play together. And I went, oh my gosh, I have to keep going back. And I know that that's the key, is relationship, getting to know each other, getting to, you know, understand each other and love each other. You know, I just think that's the key. Yeah.
Yeah, because some of them kids, they did kind of grow on me. And yeah, I just don't want, you know, somebody to go to college or something, or like to just a regular party, and then they friends tell them come get in the pool and swim, and they can't get in the pool and swim because they don't know how to swim.
Yeah, that's right.
What about you, Tamia?
I would say, I should have been thinking. I would say, like the leadership aspect. Like, so I know for me, when I first started in Camp Go, like, of course, I saw people older than me, and I saw like basically what I wanted to look like. So I just say for me, like having youth such as Nemo and I, to like basically be the leaders that we want to see the next generation come up,
Yes.
come up and be. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'll hold you to that too. All right, so the time is almost up, so thank you guys. Does anyone have any closing things they really want to share? Any special stories? Or Nina, what about you? You've been talking about swimming this whole time, and I know not last summer because it was 2020, but summer before that, you taught a whole bunch of students. Is there any one in particular you can think of that kept you coming back? Because like you said, it's not always easy teaching kids. they make you work for it sometimes.
Really, I don't know. It wasn't not like one specific person. It was really all of them that really just want me to come back. Cause
Yeah.
all the kids love me.
Yeah.
They do, and you taught my son, so you must be doing a good job.
You
He's
know,
not the easiest.
and I think when you realize that God is using you, just you, the way that just you, like just Nemo or just Tamia or just Miss Janae or just Miss Kate, there is a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment that you get. And that is something that brings you back too. It's as if it's part of God's plan. And it's what he made you to do for that particular summer or for many summers. But you just have this keen sense of, I'm at the right place because God is helping me do this.
Because at the end of the week, when they run to their parents and they be like, this was the person that taught me how to swim, it do give me a good feeling.
I know. That's right.
And I just been talking about swimming because I just miss swimming. I ain't been
well, don't I missed it too. I missed it too. It's been almost 2 years, so I
know. I can't. Surely next summer we're going to be back.
Yes,
Surely.
there you go. That's the goal. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining, and thank you guys so much for just your commitment to Together for Hope Arkansas.
Well, good afternoon, Greg and Sue in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And Rod Torrance and I are here in Little Rock, and we wanted to create this video conversation for our CBF Arkansas 2021 annual gathering with our CBF field personnel, Greg and Sue Smith. And it's so good to see you all today and to be with you through Zoom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too.
We want this video to be a good basic introduction to you all and to your work with CBF there in Virginia, and so that our folks in Arkansas can know you more personally and know more of the details of your wonderful ministry there. So I'd like to start off with the question of where you grew up in Arkansas and went to college and how that experience has shaped you.
Well, I grew up in Hot Springs, in Central Arkansas. My home churches were Vista Heights Baptist Chapel, where my grandfather was pastor for a time, and then at Second Baptist Church. I grew up, and that's where I graduated from in high school.
And I grew up in rural Dallas County, Arkansas, in the small community of Carthage. And if you want to find Carthage on a map, you just look somewhere in the green space between Fordyce and Malvern, and there you'll find Carthage.
We're both proud graduates of Ouachita Baptist University, 1981. Go Tigers! And enjoyed our time there. It was great to be associated with Ouachita. It's a wonderful college.
Can I ask you, Greg and Sue, how did you all become involved in CBF Global Missions?
My calling, I think, began really specifically in college when I began to feel God's call upon my life to be a witness to Christ outside of the context that I had grown up in. So I was willing for God to send me where God felt I was most useful, wherever that might be. And then when Sue and I met, I discovered that she had an adventurous spirit as well, and a calling too. And so we just connected very well over our common desire to be involved in God's work around the world.
I think we wanted to be CBF field personnel almost as soon as CBF began. We were serving for 12 years in Costa Rica, and I served for a time in Adopted People in that program through CBF for a time, helping to link churches to field personnel. And then finally in 2003, we began work with Cooperative Baptist Fellowship of Virginia as missionaries among Hispanics. And then in 2006, we became full CBF field personnel and have been with CBF ever since.
That's beautiful.
I know our CBF Arkansas family would be interested in the ministries that you engage in on a daily and a weekly basis. And I know, Sue, you have an agenda that you're involved in, and Greg, you have an agenda that you're involved in. Sometimes it goes in separate ways and sometimes it comes together. And Sue, would you begin sharing what your day and week and agenda is like? And then Greg, would you share with us that too?
Well, I do most of my work out of a social work and a pastoral care background. And most of my days don't look similar. There's a lot of variety in my days. They're not spent behind a desk. During the past couple of months, we've been working a lot on vaccines. We work with the first generation Spanish speaking population, and we've been working with getting folks signed up for vaccines in our community toward vaccine equity to make sure that everyone, no matter their language or their computer literacy or their literacy levels at all, have access to be able to sign up for a vaccine and receive a vaccine, and have interpreters available when they're needed in our community. So that's occupied a lot of time in identifying people and getting them signed up during the past couple of months. This past week has been a different experience. I have been working with a 17-year-old who is a first-generation college student. Her parents are immigrants from Mexico and know very little of the educational system in the United States. And so that has included coaching this young lady through the final process of accepting her financial aid, enrolling and presenting her application for housing on campus, and convincing her mom that actually allowing her to go an hour away to college and live on campus is a good thing. So it's been a lot. And then today I've actually been asking questions of a lawyer and helping a couple of immigrant families with issues of custody and parental rights and trying to research some issues for them. So every day is different, but mainly I spend a lot of time just trying to help immigrants and refugees with issues that they just don't understand in our country and things that they don't know how to do without a little bit of help.
And for me, the last 5 years, Lucha Ministries has been a recognized organization of the Department of Justice to provide immigration and legal services for immigrants, asylees, refugees who are eligible for immigration benefits. I am the program director of our immigration and legal services, as well as a Department of Justice accredited representative. So my weeks tend to look the same in many ways. They're spent meeting with clients over for the last year, since March really of last year, a little over a year now. We have been meeting specifically with clients over Zoom like this because of the pandemic, obviously. So we meet with clients and try to assess what immigration legal benefit they may need, or at least listen to the one they believe that they need and try to help them walk through the process. My particular responsibility is to provide advice and counsel along with our immigration attorney, who forms a team with me and our immigration intern as well. And my part in the process is helping to prepare the applications, to file the applications, to do background and research for on the cases, and to oversee the development of the program. So I meet with clients throughout the week for an hour and a half a session to listen to their concerns and to assess their needs. It is an extremely challenging aspect of my work, especially since I am not trained in immigration law per se, but have had the training to be able to be an accredited representative and to be able to provide the services. And I certainly benefit from our volunteer immigration attorney who works with me.
Powerful.
How do the immigrants and the refugees there in Fredericksburg and in Virginia, how do they find you all and how do you find them?
Most of the time it's through word of mouth. When we first started our ministry, we contemplated different ways of how to get the word out, through radio, through ads in the newspaper, or whatever it might be. But we discovered real quickly that the best way to get the word out is through word of mouth, to serve the immigrant community, and through their experience with us, or whatever the case might be, for them to either recommend us to others or recommend others to us. That's mainly how the word gets around. And we have been grateful to the immigrant community for being as supportive of our ministry as they have.
With so much having changed over the last 14, 15 months, I know that you all supply so many needs. You have a rich amount of resources that you help people with. Has the pandemic affected your donations, and how can we donate to help your ministry?
There is a great need for donations just to kind of keep our programs running. Some of our programs have been put more or less on hold, and as Greg said, they've adapted to more Zoom, but there are still ongoing costs with the legal services program. There are ongoing costs with emergency assistance to families. We've focused particularly on human needs by providing families who've been affected directly by COVID, by loss of income or loss of jobs altogether. And we've tried to focus on those families to make sure that they stay in housing, they continue to have a roof over their head and can pay the rent and the utilities, as well as have food during difficult times, because our community has been very, very hard hit by COVID. Many of our people work in jobs where it puts them at risk, in restaurants, in cleaning services, in construction work and landscaping and other things like that, where a lot of them are essential workers and have continued to work even throughout the pandemic. but others have been laid off. If someone gets sick, the whole family has to quarantine and no one in the household has any income. So we've tried to provide emergency assistance. CBF had an emergency fund for some of those people. Then we were able to apply for some grant funds, but we've tried to provide families with a minimum of $200 a family when they're going through a significant crisis. In some cases, we've provided more depending on the situation. We've provided medical supplies, face masks, food, really just anything that the family needs, and is within our ability to do. So your donations right now help us tremendously just to be able to meet those basic human needs. And they've also allowed us to waive the fees for our legal service program for the whole year of 2020, beginning with the beginning of the pandemic, so that we did not have to charge people and they would not have to postpone their legal services visits indefinitely and miss opportunities because they had also lost income and couldn't even afford the modest fees that we had. So your donations have helped tremendously during 2020, and we just covet your prayers and your donations again for 2021.
And as I understand it, you're for all CBF field personnel and missionaries, CBF's offering for global missions provides the funding for your salary and your presence there in Fredericksburg. And then you create programs and ministries that serve people in your area, and those are funded by your own personal fundraising. And so individuals and churches can give to the offering for global missions at CBF, and they can also make designated gifts to CBF Arkansas or to CBF in your name, and those are used for your program and ministry funds. Have I described it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Thank you, Ray. That was a very good description. Yes, the offering for global missions is foundational to everything that we do. We are dependent upon that for our salary and our benefits, our presence, as we call it here. And so we're grateful for the donations and the gifts that are given to the offering for global missions. It's the lifeline for all of us. But we're also grateful too for the special gifts that are given to our ministry through CBF or through CBF Arkansas, because that allows us to do the programming that we do. It allows us to actually meet the needs of the people that we serve. So we are extremely grateful to CBF churches and individuals for your generosity and your support.
As we wrap up our conversation this afternoon, I'm wondering if you would share with us what you see in the future there, coming out of the pandemic. What does your ministry look like for the years ahead?
I think for our time during the pandemic, it's given us a good time to step back a little bit about from some of the other things that we were doing, to maybe take not really a rest, but a pause and begin to look at things through a different lens. And one of the things that I've become very interested in is asylum seekers and issues of mental health, dealing with trauma, past trauma in people's lives, PTSD, other types of experiences that they may have had in their home countries or during their migration journeys. And one of the things that I hope to focus on during the second half of 2021 is more mental health issues, and create some new initiatives and some new programming, and do some research around the needs of asylum seekers specifically, and others, victims of domestic violence, just other migrants who have experienced trauma along their way, and whether it's on their journey to the United States or before they came. And anyway, mental health is one of the things that I hope. I know it sounds funny to look forward to working on mental health, but I really do for the rest of this year.
And our program obviously invests in the lives of immigrants and refugees and asylees as we meet them to try to help them with their needs. But we're also in our program beginning to invest heavily in the young intern that I mentioned earlier, our Immigration Legal Services intern. Her name is Melanie, and she is a university student. And she has been with us as an intern over the last couple of years and has expressed a strong desire to continue in her university studies, and then later in her graduate studies and hopefully law school, to be able to become an immigration attorney herself. She is a very bright, a very gifted young lady whose parents are immigrants, so she knows the story, she knows the history, and we are delighted to invest in her and to be able to give her an opportunity, hopefully to become an accredited representative like myself, but also, and to work with us as a team together, but also to be able to give her a foundation to become the best that she can be, whether that is immigration law in the future or whatever God calls her to be. So we're investing in her, and I'm looking forward to seeing what God does in her life.
Wonderful. Rod, they have a beautiful ministry there in Fredericksburg, and it's great for CBF Arkansas to be a partner.
Amen.
With Greg and Sue and your Arkansas connections. And we're very grateful for you and for your ministry there and our partnership together.
We are grateful to Arkansas, CBF Arkansas too. You are special in our hearts. Ray and Rod and all of the leadership and the churches and individuals, you have blessed us tremendously. You continue to bless us, and we are grateful for everything that you have done to support us. You are special to us. We love you, and we pray to continue to represent you fully and well in the work that we do. God bless CBF Arkansas and your future.
We are grateful for your ministry work, and my prayer is that not only will we be able to continue to support you, but that God will continue to provide everything that you need to accomplish His will. And I thank God for you being the presence of Christ right there in Virginia.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for spending this afternoon with us, and we look forward to seeing this in our annual gathering on Saturday morning, April the 17th.
Thank you.
Well, take care and God bless.
Okay,
Thank
God
you so
bless.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, CBF of Arkansas. Shane and Diane McNary here. We are CBF field personnel serving in Slovakia and Czechia. We arrived in Slovakia in 2004 with our two kids, Taylor and Allie. They both live in Central Arkansas now. Shane and I are both natives of Arkansas and grew up around Central Arkansas. I graduated from Benton High School. Shane graduated from England High School. I attended the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences and got my bachelor's in nursing. Shane attended Ouachita Baptist University.
People may want to ask us why we moved from Arkansas to Slovakia, and our standard response is that it was God. We both had felt a calling to cross-cultural ministry, and that calling we were able to realize with Cooperative Baptist Fellowship. As Diane said, our ministry is both in Slovakia and Czechia, primarily among the Roma people in both countries, though not exclusively. In conducting our ministry, we have hosted hundreds of people who have been members of short-term mission teams. They have come from all over the United States, Missouri, Arkansas, Texas, a couple of university trips we've had, Alabama, Georgia, and
North Carolina.
North Carolina, thank you. So we have hosted folks from all over CBF land, and it has been a joy for us to be able to see how short-term ministry teams can come alongside of local partners that we have. Many of them we have had for years, ever since we came to Slovakia. That is very important to our ministry, to have trusted local partners with whom we have a relationship with. It's not just transactional. We sit down and have coffee and go to these people's homes and they come to ours. And connecting those short-term ministry teams with local partners has been a joy for us in our ministry. And I would say that has probably been one of the biggest successes that we have had in our ministry, is how we conduct short-term ministry teams and how we have utilized those teams to leverage the presence of our local partners in their own communities, so that though a short-term team is only here 5 to 7 days, the impact of their presence remains because the partner that they did their work with and through remains.
a couple of the accomplishments that we have had besides short-term teams, one of the things that I look at in my ministry is a very long relationship with the State Library in Košice in cooperation with the U.S. Embassy. And I have been able to have a discussion club. It started out as a reading club, then a discussion club, then all kinds of things. That I have been involved with for about 13 years now. During COVID, that has taken a very different look. We now meet on Zoom, but I find that a very important part of learning about Slovak culture, how they think, how they live, and that has been a great gift to me.
One of the things that I have focused on, particularly during lockdown for the last year, has been a training course on freedom of religion or belief that I have organized in collaboration with International Baptist Theological Seminary, that is in Amsterdam now, and the European Baptist Federation Freedom and Justice Commission, which I chair. This is part of the larger advocacy chunk of my ministry, which I do for Cooperative Baptist Fellowship. I'm a representative to the United Nations on behalf of Baptist World Alliance. My get up today is because I've been recording things for the Human Rights Council's 46th session. And it is through technology, all of these things are able to continue. We have been involved with ministry, though we can't be involved in person. And as we said earlier, relationship is really key to how we do our ministry. So this has really hurt, but we are confident. We stay in contact with everyone. They'll welcome us back once we can travel, and we look forward to being able to be with them. We want to thank you for your partnership in prayer, your partnership in giving to the Offering for Global Missions, which allows our presence here in Slovakia long term, so the relationships I mentioned can be established and nurtured.
We want to thank Ray for inviting us to share a little about what is going on with us. And we invite you to get in touch with us if you want to know more or you want to chat longer. Thank you.
God bless.
It is life-giving to stay in touch with our partners and to realize how and where we are at work with God in our state and in our world. For a small CBF organization like Arkansas, we have such creative ministries and gifted leaders, and we're grateful to God for them. We applaud Pastor Rod Torrance and the Christway Missionary Baptist Church for their mission and ministries and our partnership together. And we thank them for hosting and producing our annual gathering this year. We couldn't do it without the media ministry at Christway, and we give our thanks to Angela Willis, Jarita Futrell, and Marlon Willis for making this year's annual gathering possible. We thank you for joining us for our annual gathering. You make CBF Arkansas who we are. Your generosity and your involvement empower CBF Arkansas, our partnerships and our ministries in the state and beyond. We celebrate you, our partnership churches and our people, and our presence on the campus of Arkansas Baptist College. As we wrap up our recorded version of our annual gathering this morning, and we prepare to join together on Zoom at 11 o'clock for our annual business session, may I share this benediction with you. May the beauty of God be reflected in our eyes, the love of God expressed through our hands, the wisdom of God spoken through our words, and the presence of Christ flow through our lives. Amen.